Darkness is too often allowed to come between duty and human life. I'm Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, and I was the first African American woman doctor. I made an impact on American history by changing how people perceive women of color in medicine. I wasn't born into slavery, so I had many opportunities that most Black women didn't have at the time. I was the first Black woman to get her MD, and I wrote a book concerning medicine called The Book of Medical Discourses. Not only did I break barriers, I truly helped people. I devoted my life to working with the Freedmen's Bureau. Their mission was to help freed slaves and poor people after the Civil War. My job was to help freed slaves to get the medical attention that they needed from their long journey up north. I'm Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, and I made an impact on American history by paving the way for many of the amazing doctors of color that would come after me. But I've already had my life. What will you do?
Let me die in the old uniform which I fought my battles for freedom. May God forgive me for putting on another. We have a wretched motley crew in the fleet, the Marines, the refuge of every regiment, and the seamen, few of them ever wet with salt water. I am Benedict Arnold. I made an impact on America by being a traitor. I was an American Revolutionary War general. I was even an early hero of the American Revolution. I felt I wasn't getting enough recognition that I deserved during the war. This made me very frustrated, so I made plans to surrender West Point for 20,000 pounds to the British. I subsequently switched sides to the British too. I led attacks against the Americans at Richmond and New London. During my time with the Americans, though, I was a great general. I made many smart moves and helped us win many battles. I went down as a traitor and had no regrets in switching sides to the British.
America will never be destroyed from the outside. I'm Abraham Lincoln, and I made an impact on America through politics and history by leading my nation through the horrible Civil War. I abolished slavery, which started that Civil War. I made some of the most important decisions in history, playing a significant role in winning the Civil War and allowing our country to recover. A quote I'm famous for is, "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." And I followed that description by working hard and making tough decisions to stop the Civil War and bring it to an end. I did this by forcing our military to suffer in many battles but end in victory. I did my duty as the 16th President of the United States and gave myself purpose for the country. My best friend is someone who will give me a book I have not read.
Proceed, great chief, with virtue on thy side. Thy every action let the goddess guide. I am Phyllis Wheatley. I was born a slave. I made an impact in American history by becoming the first woman poet. I provided inspiration to many other African American slaves. I was the first African American woman to publish a book of poetry. I was also the third colonial woman to have her work published. Liberty and freedom, always on my mind. Strongly influenced by Christianity and the promise of life after death. And that made my poetry stand out, in my opinion. In all my years, if I didn't learn anything, it's that slavery is the number one enemy. I am America's first African American poet. I am Phyllis Wheatley.
The British are coming. Fight, fight. Gather Colonel Ludington's house. My name is Sybil Ludington. I was 16 years old when I made an impact on American history by gathering the local militia to fight off the British at Danbury, Connecticut, a rebel stronghold. I rode over 40 miles of treacherous road on my horse, Star. I had to fight off highwaymen with nothing but a stick. My efforts paid off. My father was joined by over 350 men to fight off the British. Although they lost the battle, they managed to drive the British out of the city. The British had burnt down nearly all of the city, and they had destroyed the food and water the rebels had stored. However, the city was now safe. This is the story of how I, a 16-year-old girl, saved an entire city. My story is proof that children can make a difference. All it takes is the right situation.
During the War of 1812, I was famous for saving many important documents and a picture of George Washington. I am Dolly Madison. I made an impact on American history by guiding my husband James Madison, the third President of the United States, in using my charm and influence to win over people. I was good for business and I helped at charities and social events that supported my husband's career. I am best known for when the British attacked the White House in the War of 1812 and burned it down. I was able to save some important letters, documents, and a portrait of our dear friend George Washington. My quick thinking helped me preserve these primary sources for history. I, Dolly Madison, helped preserve history and supported my husband during his presidency. It is done. The precious portrait placed in the hands of the gentleman for safekeeping.
I think the sentiment has not entirely shifted away from the belief that technology will continue to do well, but the believers are getting more and more worried about their beliefs. I'm Kate Warren, and I made an impact on American politics by being able to hide in plain sight of Confederate sympathizers. I became the first female detective in the Pinkerton Detective Agency and the United States, inspiring other women to take their place in society. After I was hired, other women started joining both the agency I worked for and other agencies around the country. On one occasion, I heard of news that the president would never leave Baltimore alive. President Abraham Lincoln was boarding a train to his inauguration in Washington, D.C. I disguised him as my sick brother and we boarded at the rear of the train alone, so we wouldn't infect other passengers. The president arrived safely at his inauguration. During the Civil War, my job was to train other women for the work of the detective agency. Everyone should fight for his or her own rights, regardless of gender or ethnicity bias and everything in between.
My race needs no special defense, for the past history of them in this country proves them to be equal of anyone. All they need is an equal chance in the battle of life. I'm Robert Smalls, and I made an impact on American history by stealing a Confederate supply ship, which is a ship that carries cargo and people, and escaping slavery. During the Civil War, I managed to escape slavery, was a Union Navy sea captain, and convinced Abraham Lincoln to let African Americans fight for the Union. I escaped slavery because I was going to buy my way out, but the price kept on getting higher and higher, so I escaped with 15 others. I seized the opportunity to convince Abraham Lincoln that African Americans should fight in the war because they deserve to fight for their freedom just like anyone else should. In order to become the master, a ruler must profess to be a servant of the people. I am Robert Smalls.
Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Hello, I'm Harriet Tubman, and I made an impact on American history because I was an abolitionist and I led slaves to freedom before the Civil War. The Civil War was a war that was fought between the North and the South for slavery. Since I was a slave myself, I wanted to help other slaves get equal rights and a new life. While having a bounty on my head, I led more than 300 slaves to freedom. I can say what most conductors of the Underground Railroad cannot. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. The Underground Railroad is a network of safe houses where people, or conductors, help slaves like me get into the North, where there isn't slavery. I, Harriet Tubman, truly made an impact on American history by leading slaves to freedom.
Truth is powerful and it prevails. Hi, my name is Sojourner Truth, and I made an impact on American history. As an African American slave, an abolitionist, and a women's rights activist. As a strong, passionate woman who fought for rights and equality for all. I helped women and blacks have a voice in this world and gave them an opportunity to stand out. I helped them have the right to vote and to own property, which is a very big accomplishment for me.
I'm best known for the speech I gave about racial inequalities in I Woman in 1851 at the Ohio Women's Rights Convention. Soon the war broke out. In the Civil War, I helped recruit black troops in the Union Army. Even though there are hardships in life, I faced my challenges and never gave up. I fought for what I believed was right. I, Sojourner Truth, truly made an impact on American history.
I'm the father of the Constitution. I am James Madison. I had many impacts on American history, including helping write the Constitution, forming the 3 branches of government, and becoming the 4th President of the United States. By writing the Constitution, it stopped states from having too much power over the citizens. And by forming the 3 branches of government, it stopped each branch from having too much power. In 1812, I declared war to England due to them taking our ships and sailors. It ended with the peace treaty and gained America respect of other nations. In my lifetime, I was a shy person, but I did come through my hardships and I became an independent and a good leader.
Buoyed up by the prospect of freedom, I was willing to dare even death itself. I, Henry Boggs Brown, made an impact on American history by escaping slavery in a unique way. I was a positive voice for other slaves to provide encouragement. I was born into slavery in Virginia. When my family was auctioned off to other owners, it made me mad. This motivated me to try to find a way to escape slavery. I put myself in a 3-foot by 2-foot size box to be shipped to a free state. I am pleased to announce that I am a free man. After my daring adventure, I became a noted public speaker that talked out against the rights of owning slaves. I developed and published a slave narrative and turned it into an anti-slavery stage show. I, Henry Boggs Brown, made an impact on American history by not allowing slavery to box me in.
Hello, welcome to my shop. How can I help you? And if you have any information on the British, we can cut a deal. Hi, I am Hercules Mulligan, and I was a spy for the Continental Army during the American War for Independence. I owned a tailor shop where many British officers would come in for their uniforms. I asked them questions and inflamed their ego so they would tell me the British strategy. It was my job to get this information to the general, George Washington. Without me, many battles could have been lost, and the war might have tilted in favor of the British. Once, I even helped discover and foil a plan to kidnap George Washington, which would have ultimately led to an American defeat. I made an impact on American history by spying on the British for the Continental Army during the American War for Independence.
If society will not admit of women's free development, then society must be remodeled. I'm Elizabeth Blackwell, and I made an impact on American history by leading the way for women doctors and improving hospitals all over the world. One of my beliefs was cleanliness in hospitals. I believed that doctors should wash their hands between patients and that all medical tools should be cleaned after use. I changed many hospitals all over the world using these beliefs. I was one of the first women doctors, and I even made my own women's hospital. I strongly believed that women should be able to get a good education. I gave lectures on health to women. I taught them basic things like washing your hands or how the human body works. People discriminated against me because I was a woman, but I always kept going. In the 1800s, there were almost no women doctors, but I changed that and made hospitals better places.
You know that women are always looked upon as nothing,
For we are your mothers, you are our sons. Our cry is all for peace. Let it continue. I am Nancy Ward, and I made an impact in American politics by forging a positive relationship between the English settlers and my own Cherokee people. I was known as Gigi, a beloved woman, after taking my fatally wounded husband's place in a war against the Creek tribe, and I led the Cherokee people to victory. I was the leader of the Women Council clan representatives, and a member of the tribal council chiefs. I warned the English of many intending attacks and uprisings by the sheriff, including monitoring my position in the sheriff's government to take the captured rifle. I was a strong voice in the adaptation of farming and dairy, and like this British sheriff in on the past. This peace will last forever, that your woman sends to ours, our sons to yours, that your women hear our words.
Amazing the things you find when you bother to look for them. I'm Sacagawea, and I made an impact on American history as an explorer. The Lewis and Clark expedition depended on me to find food. I showed them all the ways that my tribe, the Shoshone, survived. I even made medicine from plants. I also guided them through Shoshone territory. The whole reason they were there was to explore, and I lived on this land my entire life. I knew the landmarks. I also rescued precious cargo from a storm attacking our boat. Without me, America might extend to the Rocky Mountains if they got lucky, but it couldn't go any further without my skills and language. Along the way, we met Native American tribes, and I translated so we could trade. When we reached the foot of the Rocky Mountains, I spoke to my former tribe to get horses. On that journey, I shaped America.
I have never advocated war except as a means of peace. Hi, my name is Ulysses S. Granton. I made an impact on American history by serving as the United States General and Commander for the Union armies during the American Civil War. The American Civil War was a brutal fight between the northern and southern states. The South stirred up some controversy on the enslavement of African Americans and whether they should be freed or not. I led the Union Army to a victorious ending by leading the Vicksburg Campaign, which gained control of the Mississippi River. Because of my leadership skills, I became the 18th President of the United States of America. Cheers to that. As President, I worked to implement Congressional Reconstruction and to abolish slavery. Congressional Reconstruction was the period after the Civil War when the federal government attempted to enforce equal suffrage on ex-Confederate states. I, Ulysses S. Grant, made an impact on American history by supporting equal rights for all.
Any mind that is capable of real sorrow is capable of good. As a young girl by the name of Harriet Beecher, I grew up in a family of high expectations. The boys were to all be successful preachers, while the girls were to never speak in public and remain housewives. Because of this, I grew a love of writing from a young age, as it was one of the few things that I found interesting in my daily life. Later, I moved away and got married, taking the last name Stowe, and soon after that, I started writing my own book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. The book was to make a stand, but instead of doing it publicly, I used my pen to portray the emotional and physical damage that it does to them, especially young children. The book convinced many people that slavery was a horrible practice. After the Civil War started, I, Harriet Beecher Stowe, met Abraham Lincoln, and he said to me, "So you are the little woman who wrote the book that started this great war."
I may be compelled to face danger, but never fear it. And while our soldiers can stand and fight, I can stand and feed and nurse them. I, Clara Barton, made an impact on American history by founding the Red Cross. It all started when I was young. My brother got really sick, so I took care of him. After that experience with my brother, I started to help other people in my town when they got sick. My biggest accomplishment was founding the Red Cross to take care of people. A lot of people needed to be taken care of during war times, such as the Civil War. The Civil War was intense. I couldn't just stay away from the battlefields. So, I gathered materials and transported them to the battlefields. I also took care of the wounded soldiers. I was even known for helping to find the missing soldiers. My impact on American history was huge. The Red Cross was utilized throughout American history thanks to me.
Unassuming, thoughtful, cautious, frank, direct, and outspoken. Hi, my name is Zachary Taylor, also known as Rough and Ready. I made an impact on American history by serving in the U.S. Army for nearly 40 years. I led my soldiers to many victories in the Mexican-American War from 1846 to 1848. As a result, America's borders expanded all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Soon after, I was elected as the 12th President of the United States of America. I led the nation on its debates on slavery and Southern secession. I have always done my duties. Honesty is the first chapter in the Book of Wisdom. I am Thomas Jefferson. I impacted American history by writing the Declaration of Independence and breaking the colonies away from Britain's rule. I am known as the founding father of the United States because I wrote the Declaration of Independence and helped form the United States. I had the opportunity to be the Vice President and the third President of the United States. In the time I held office, I made the Louisiana Purchase, which provided a lot of additional land for the country. It more than doubled the size of the land. I, Thomas Jefferson, made an impact on U.S. history by helping to create the United States of America.
Don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. You have to get up and make them. I am Madam C.J. Walker, and I made an impact on American culture and history. I am an inventor, businesswoman, and philanthropist. I built a business around one creation, a hair product for African Americans. I was born free but lived in poverty. I was a washerwoman, barely making enough money to take care of myself. My hair was falling out by the chunks and I needed to do something. That's when I got the idea of making a hair product. I eventually found a mixture that worked on my hair. I called it Wonderful Hair Grower. The women in my community love my product so much that not only did they use it, they helped me sell it. I eventually was able to open up a beauty college and a factory. I trained over 40,000 black women and empowered them to get out of poverty. I've donated to support schools, organizations, and civil rights movements I believed in. If I have accomplished anything in life, it is because I'm willing to work hard.
Sic semper tyrannis, or thus always a tyrant. I'm John Wilkes Booth. I made an impact on American history by assassinating the 16th President Abraham Lincoln. I was an actor known for my sharp looks and talent. When the Civil War broke out between the Union and the Confederacy, I was on the Confederate side. The Union won and slavery was illegal. I was a big Confederate sympathizer, which is a person who still believes in the Confederacy, even after the war. I was depressed and full of hatred. That's when I plotted my revenge against the person I held responsible, Lincoln, and conspired with 3 other people. While I was able to accomplish my goal of killing the president, my plan fell apart days afterward. With Lincoln out of the picture, my hope was that the South would rise up and continue to fight. But instead, the country began to mourn for the loss of their president. And I was left to run and hide until I was eventually shot and killed. While my place in history was not a great one, the country did become to appreciate Lincoln as a true hero after his death. So I, John Wilkes Booth, made an impact on American history through my deeds.
Shago. Hello, my name is Makide Lafayette, and I made an impact on American history by helping America win the war against Britain. I was born in France and dreamed of glory, so I decided to join the American Revolution. As soon as I was made a major general, I bought uniforms and boots for every man under me. They were poorly equipped. This helped them be more agile in all the different battles that we fought. During one of the battles, the Battle of Monmouth, General Lee was in charge. First he said attack, and then he said fall back. He said we didn't stand a chance against British bayonets. He was wrong. I sent someone to get Washington, and together, without Lee, Washington and I led our troops into almost victory. Unfortunately, the British got away. But during one of the battles, I showed great leadership. During the Battle of Yorktown was the final battle, and we won. We won the whole war. I died on May 20th with my dog by my side. I was 77 years old, but I was buried in American soil. I am an American.
Go.
I am a man of many talents. I created bifocals, established the first fire department of Pennsylvania, and I am considered a founding father for signing the Declaration of Independence. My name is Benjamin Franklin, and I made an impact on American history for my many contributions. I improved the colonist way of life through my many inventions. Most people know me for holding a kite outside during a storm to conduct electricity. I created the Leyden jar, which was an early form of light. This allowed people to be more productive. I created a handbook called Poor Richard's Almanac that was an annual publication that provided colonists with general topics of interest. Like many of my inventions and creations, the book did really well. I, Benjamin Franklin, was an inventor for my time.